Well, morning, guys. It's 11 after 5 in the morning, and it is the 4th of February, 2022. Uh, so, are we enjoying our life today? Did we wake up in a nice, positive mood? Did we wake up many times to go to the restroom to deal with those positive moods? I did. Not exactly liking it. Then again, I never had a choice, did I? I've been coming across a lot of more social media stuff out there to comment on. It seems like the only thing we can do is comment on each other's works, some of which we're trying to identify what makes someone unique, special, whatever the hell they are. Or having people trying to look at you funny and think maybe maybe you're too weird for them, maybe you're not special enough for them, and maybe you're just something that they can't identify. Believe it or not, I know how that feels. I do. Sorry. You know, I was told a long time ago that I was special as a kid. There was something off about me, and they always kept saying there's something special. There's always something special, 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 special. Nobody could quite pin it down. Nobody could quite pin it anywhere. My brother would joke about me being a changeling all the time. And why not? I probably was a changeling. But we kept considering changeling as a human versus an alien situation. I got swapped. So therefore, I wasn't considered human. I was considered alien because I didn't do things normally. I kept asking myself on some occasions, what's considered human and what's considered normal these days? I've been trying to think about that damn thing for a hell of a long while throughout my life. I can never figure it out because it was always someone else's interpretation of what I should have been, or should be, or could be, or this, or that, or anything else. How about an old man coughing up phlegm out of his damn lungs? Gets irritations in him. And therefore, I cough. I cough the crap out, whatever the crap is. Because I like the idea of breathing. But as for being quote unquote normal, I have to keep asking that question all the time. What is normal these days? What commonly accepted behavior of a group of people? And it has to be that way or else you're considered abnormal. We make fun about that, don't we? We make fun about the insane qualities of everybody. As I've been trying to learn about things throughout my life, through various media forms, understanding human behavior, understanding this or that. See, I like to read books, but also I observe other things as well. I didn't participate, I just sat back and watched. And of course, they called me aloof, they called me strange, they called me a nerd, called me weird. I'm not normal. I don't go out and participate. I don't rush into crap. Because if I rushed into things, outcomes would have been different. But outcomes weren't different. Fools rush in where angels fear to tread. And then you've got bigger class of fools who rush in anyway because they can. And they deal with it. But as for us humans, well, I'm not trained as an emergency medical technician or a fireman or a police officer. And I don't sure as hell don't have those kind of instincts of going into situations where it's going to be involving my life versus someone else's. So I wouldn't know how to handle things like that. I probably wouldn't. But I'm supposed to understand something here. I'm supposed to I'm supposed to understand what being normal is all about and what being abnormal is all about, what being special is all about. Try this one. Past the last several years of living in this complex that I'm living in, there is a guy dealing with PTSD a great deal. From what his caregiver and mother would say, he's supposed to be special. Well, he was a soldier who went through combat, apparently. But he also went through personal situations where somehow he got broken. And now he just doesn't want to deal or relate with the world around him as much as he can. The thing of it is, I've seen what PTSD is. I've got my own version of PTSD throughout my life. You don't think I recognize that crap? I hear special. I'm like, there's no such thing as special. Either you're screwed up or you're not screwed up. And if you are screwed up, there's something going on deep inside of you that society doesn't commonly accept. You're using something as a crutch at this point over here to get through life. I physically got a crutch. And I'm getting through life because physically I need the damn thing for the physical situations. But when it comes down for this in here, when it comes down for the psychological, I have made it clear too many damn times in a lot of my videos. I am not a guru. I'm not an expert. I'm an observer. I'm an observer. I've been that way ever since I've knee high to a dug, to quote. So I've watched, I observed, I listened, I learned, and I stay away. I stay aloof. I'm worse than Schrodinger's cat. You don't know if I'm alive or dead or just existing. But I'm supposed to be called special. I'm the one that's supposed to be getting the ire at this point over here, unless I've got a big brother trying to protect me all my life. Beating up on the bullies who didn't like a nerd. And who didn't like a nerd in the first place? A guy who figures out the answers faster than you did. Or has a different way of looking at things. How does people feel when you have a group of people with different values trying to understand English literature or literature of some sort? And there are certain elements excuse me. Sorry about that. Still trying to clear out the junk in here. But I am observant of a lot of things, and my brain had been working fast yesterday. In an English class that even my professor, my brainy, nerdy professor, couldn't figure he couldn't figure the shit out. That there were connections of some of the other works that we were doing. And I kept trying to figure out what are the themes that he's trying to push at us. I mean, last year in one particular class, it had to be God versus man at that point. Theism versus deism, or atheism. Either you believe in something as karma or anything else beyond, or else you don't. And it was a skull thumping situation. He didn't even realize it. He didn't even look at it. He didn't even understand it. I looked at him like, you got to be kidding me. It doesn't make me special. It just made me observe it in a different fashion, a different form, to look at it in my own viewpoint. Now there are many viewpoints. Take a crystal prism. You take a white light. Put the crystal against the wall. Shine the white light on the crystal. You'll see it in multiple spectrums. Multiple spectrums of different wavelengths that make the white light, that make the truth coming at it, but different viewpoints of looking at it. It's like looking at a rainbow. You're looking basically at a rainbow. You're looking in the sky and you actually see a rainbow, maybe before or during or after a storm. The light hits the water refraction in the atmosphere just enough. You see the colors. You see the streaks. You see the bending. And that's your white light coming through it. And that I learned in the science classes. See, it doesn't take that much of a geek and a nerd to understand this stuff. It just takes patience and understanding and a calmer mind. Mine isn't so calm because I'm not diagnosed as ADHD, but sleep depressed. But even for a sleep depressed guy, I went out and started figuring out the story things left and right that the professor's trying to tell the class. I'm like, the older the guy just gets, the worse he's going to get, because each generation doesn't understand the generational stuff we're understanding here. It's no wonder the older professors have a hard time with the youth. They need a youthful they need a youthful associate professor with them to do the teaching, while the senior professor does whatever they're going to be doing. So the youthful professors are stuck on the firing line along with the youthful students because they're trying to understand their point of view and their world. The older generation have already stepped beyond that because their world's already gone. Their world's already gone. They can pass down their information, what happened in the ages and old. They'll put out the books. They'll put out the manuals. They'll put out whatever kind of lecture material they've got to demonstrate their knowledge of their time and their era. And me, on the other hand, I have learned from the old professors as they were younger once, and I was a young kid. So by the time they're starting to get gray hair and grizzled, I'm almost getting gray hair. Well, I'm getting gray hair and grizzled. So I understand them more than I understand the youth. Because right now the youth and me are leaving our basis of knowledge here. And you can call me a nerd all you want. And maybe I am. My brother would hate it. He's been fighting that for I don't know how many years. My brother and I were 8 years apart. My brother had dealt with old school. I was still barely getting through the old school. The old school was you didn't listen, you get your head whacked or hand whacked. Or standards up to yin yang. But the discovery that physically beating the students doesn't exactly give them knowledge, except how to be pissed off and how to be hurt. And therefore, if you're hurting students, they're not going to listen. So you have to stop it. Some of the old school principals didn't like it. I know of one who really didn't like it until he got pushed by my brother and by my mother. He stopped it. And by the time I got into class, 8 years difference, it made a difference. The different viewpoints a lot. They changed a great deal. I wasn't being tormented or punished for anything because the standards were changed and they were relaxed. They should have been a little more strict on me. But then again, they really weren't. I had people trying to help me out of learning stuff. Of tutors out there trying to help tutor me into thinking one way or another. I still hated math. It's not the basic math. I mean, I can get through the basic math, no problem. It's the algebra. It's the higher mathematics. It's what people are supposed to understand in college. Not this kid. Give me the literature. Give me the history. Give me the political science. Give me all the material that we've written out and try to make connections in life to look at life. I was never a numbers kind of guy, never a logical kind of guy. But even in their form, there had to be some kind of logic. So that's what I did. And that's what I've been doing. And my time's going to be coming up pretty shortly in that school. Then either I continue on with a different thing altogether, a different subject, or else I'm out, period. Transfer to another school, or just out, period. I know, I'm harumphing too much. Only because I still get the shit in my chest here. The physical remnants of some things when you wake up to in the morning and you just have to deal with it. Never feels too damn good. But it never drives me to the point of sanity where I'm listening to people commenting on what life is supposed to be for them. And how some of those bullies are usually getting taken out left and right by the group administrators. But the thing is, I'd love to see what their remarks were. Just to see if they're still doing the same damn thing like they would be doing years ago with the tormenting. But I'm not about to do that on the tapes. No. No. It's not needed. It's not called for. It's not wanted. Because out there, that's enough torture right now as it is. It's enough of an attitude. So I don't need that kind of attitude. I understand as much as I can, as much as I am limited to, of the dark stuff that people go through. As much as I learned, back in the dark ages, you couldn't deal with crazy except block it up. Or let the person run loose and be running mad. Be harmful to themselves and to the community. Well, we didn't want that in our community, did we? So we had to develop a cage, a cell, wrappings, just to keep them safe and sane. We'll take care of them as long as they are not being a total blithering idiot. That's depressing as hell. That's depressing as hell. Because we're still doing the same damn thing these days. We're still looking for additional units, additional places. We have increased our population on this damn planet, and in our cities, in our states, that we're squeezing the animals out and they're fighting back. And we're trying to find spaces for our own people to live. We need rents. I mean, we need rentals. We need places for people to buy a home. And we need to make sure that they got the necessary procedures and money and funding and everything else in order to secure a home for themselves, either by rent or by purchase or by both. They won't rent to a crazy person, but they'll rent to a sane person. Over here, several years ago, in this apartment complex, there had been a woman lost her mind somehow. I'd known her when she was really getting into the insane asylum situation, where she was going psychotic all the damn time. She'd be normal, she'd be persecuted, she'd be crying her eyeballs out, and then switch on you, right in front of you. Yeah, well, I remember her. And I also remember this particular woman hitting people and having police reports on her. Got to the point where last management decided to knock her, evict her. Apparently, nobody wanted to deal with her, not even her own family. They couldn't figure it. She couldn't be figured out. So I look at myself these days as whether or not I'm going to be like one of those blithering idiots that's changing into a different personality at this point over here, and also turning into the same situation because it scares the hell out of me. My own situation I've been dealing with for all my life. There's a lot of fear, a lot of anger, and now these days, lack of sleep. Speaking of which, lack of sleep is going to be something I'm going to be taking care of in about a few minutes because I need to go back to bed and sleep this thing off. You've noticed that I vapor locked here for a couple of seconds. The narcolepsy is getting worse. Narcolepsy is not nervous and mental, but it is a neurological condition. The body is trying to reclaim sleep any which way it can. And if I happen to vapor lock or just pause for a couple of seconds and just like I'm just sleeping like that, my brain's trying to turn me off again. So if I find another interesting topic to work on, I'll post another video for it. But for right now, it's time for me to head back to SAC. And hell, it's almost a little after 5:30 in the morning. Go figure.